Welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror movie and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 2012's VHS, which was directed by Adam Wingard, David Bruckner, Ty West, Glenn McQuaid, Joe Swanberg, and Radio Silence. I am your co-host, Alec.
And this is Joe.
Joe, this is a special episode. You know, every movie that you've ever come on here, you're like the guru, you know everything about it, you've seen the doc, you own the laser discs, the comic, so this is the actual first time that neither of us has ever seen this movie. I didn't know anything about it, and we're kind of coming into this blind, so I don't know, man. How'd you feel?
Well, I'm feeling that the wheel of horror can be a cruel mistress. Yeah, I'm kind of missing the good old days where I would just text you and be like, oh, you're covering Night of the Living Dead? Mind if I give my 2 cents on that? But yeah, I mean, the wheel does not care. The wheel has no feelings. It picks what it wants to pick, and you must oblige. And this is a bit new for me, and it was an experience.
I mean, that's the thing, like, I've done over 200 of these now, and it's like there have been some shit movies. You know, movies I've never seen. Eric's chosen a couple random ones. Like, I heard it was pretty good. And then we watch it, and I was like, I don't believe in film anymore. I don't even believe it. So based on what you're telling me, this was not your cup of tea then?
Well, I mean, we can talk about it, but I thought I heard of this movie. I might have been confusing this with another movie called the Poughkeepsie Tapes, which I also haven't seen.
Okay.
And then I looked it up, and yeah, it kind of rings a bell. A bunch of the directors that worked on this, I'm definitely familiar with a lot of their other films. So I was kind of intrigued by that. I saw that it was kind of a found footage movie. What are your thoughts on found footage movies? Do you have any opinions one way or the other?
This episode of Wheel of Horror is brought to you by Fanimal. I love live events, but I hate buying tickets. The hidden fees suck, and coordinating with friends is a nightmare. I always end up fronting a bunch of money and then chasing down my friends to get reimbursed. And if they flake, I'm stuck with the whole bill. But then I discovered Fanimal. Fanimal has tickets to everything, and there are no fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Not only are the prices transparent, but they're almost always lower than anywhere else I look. And for any hot tickets, like Lollapalooza, or a Dodgers game, or a weekend concert, Fanimal is always the cheapest option. Nobody goes to live events alone, so why buy tickets alone? Fanimal's patented group purchase makes it easy. First, you set a minimum size for your group and choose the number of tickets you want to pay for yourself. Then you invite friends. When the minimum size is met, everyone gets charged and receives their tickets. If the minimum size isn't reached in time, nobody gets charged. You don't commit until your friends do. And Fanimal has amazing customer service. Check out their hundreds of 5-star reviews. The next time you need tickets, go to Fanimal.com or download the Fanimal app and sign up with code HORROR for $20 of credit towards your first purchase. Check out Fanimal and experience more. Most of the time, I like them. As long as they're not, like, roll your eyes cheesy and they can kind of, like, keep my interest. I really love Blair Witch. I love the Paranormal Activity movies. I love The Last Exorcism, especially horror films. Oh, have you ever seen Creep? You ever seen that movie?
No.
Okay, another found footage, very similar to this, but it's like an hour and a half long. It's the Duplass brothers. But, yeah, I do. I really do like them. What about you? Are you fond of them?
I think it's kind of like a mixed bag, like anything, you know? Yeah, Blair Witch, I mean, that came out when I was like 16. That was such a huge event, and it's not really a movie that I love, but definitely a movie I respect. And my boy, George Romero, I feel like did one of the worst, and that was Diary of the Dead.
Oh, that's a found footage one? That's kind of newer, right?
Yeah, kind of. It was the 5th in his Dead saga, and you know how much I love him, and it pains me to say, but yeah, that one was not one of my favorites. But Cloverfield, I'm actually a big fan of.
Oh yeah.
There was kind of a one that doesn't get a lot of attention called Quarantine, which was kind of a zombie movie. It was a remake too.
Yeah, that was based off a Wreck, right? It was a Record or whatever. Yeah,
right. And I actually thought the American version was kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, like anything, there's some good ones, there's some not so good ones. I feel like for the most part, these movies don't offer me a lot of what I love about horror movies or just movies in general, which is just atmosphere and music and visuals, and you're going to get a certain kind of experience with a found footage movie. And sometimes, like Paranormal Activity, I mean, I think the way that movie is made, the found footage gimmick works even better for that movie than if it was done conventionally. So it all depends on the material.
I mean, no, that's fair. If it's ghosts versus just like a home invasion kind of thing, it's going to have a very different feel. But now that we've covered half of what this film's genre is, how do you feel about anthology horror films?
Again, a mixed bag for sure. I mean, yeah, I guess it's like anything, but I was on your Creep Show episode. That's
Right.
one of my favorite Romero movies, one of my favorite Stephen King movies. And yeah, I mean, I would say that there's probably as many bad ones as there is good ones.
Yeah.
But I was intrigued going into this movie because I felt like, well, if this story isn't doing it for me, in a few minutes we're going to get another one, you know?
Yeah, that's always a good thing about the anthology ones, and we've covered quite a few on here, and I feel the same. It's like I like certain ones, and other ones I'm like I could do without this one. Even in Creep Show, I'm like, if there's one, there's always one. I mean, I'll say this: the way this movie started, I was not really enjoying it. Like where those guys go in, they like pull that girl's shirt up in the parking garage. I was like, what the fuck is this movie? And then it slowly started growing on me, and then I was like, okay, like I can't stop watching this now. It's gross. It's a gross movie. It doesn't make you feel good in any of them. But I kind of felt like with the difference between like this and Creepshow is like Creepshow had very different stylized stories between each of the segments. I mean, they all were very definitive. You could be like, oh, that was the one with Leslie Nielsen and the burying the heads. Like, there's memorable things. This one kind of felt like they were all like the same, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting with found footage movies. They have to come up with a gimmick for why the characters never put down the camera.
Right.
And it was interesting to see how they addressed that from story to story. And we can get into that. But going back to when you press play on this movie, you realize you're going to be following around these criminals as they molest women and destroy property, and all of this it looks like really shaky cam and really staticky. They're really like overselling the found footage gimmick, and I was just thinking, oh my god, this is going to be a long 2 hours.
Well, you saying that, it kind of reminds me of almost like a modern day Clockwork Orange. If you were filming like those guys, what they were doing in their downtime sort of thing. So I guess just in case anybody hasn't seen this movie and you've made it this far already, the movie, it is an anthology, as we've said, but basically it follows around, I think there's a group of 4 guys, and they're probably in their mid-20s, and they're just bad, delinquent pieces of shit. And I don't know why, but they go to some like creepy house, and they're supposed to find a VHS, but it's kind of vague about why they're going there or whatever. They're like, yeah, some guy told us, we know which one it was, and we just got to go break in and steal it. Get to the house, find an old dead guy in the chair watching DVD or VHSs, and then they each take their turn watching a VHS by themselves, and then the audience gets sucked into the segment that they're watching, and then it seems like when the segment's over, they're gone. The person's gone.
You might have to clear up a few things with this whole wraparound story, but we could get into that as we go.
Yeah.
I was a little bit confused about what year this takes place in, because I'm not really. I assumed it was like the 80s or 90s because they are using these old-fashioned video cameras with the VHS tape. But then when we get to our first story, the first tape that they watch, the character has a camera in his glasses, which seems like very modern technology. So I was a little bit confused about that. Did you have any thoughts on like when exactly this was taking place?
The only one that 100% is the last one, because it says 1998 the whole time.
Right.
I was paying attention to the music. Nothing really stood out. It was kind of like obscure rock music. I mean, would it be that crazy to think it probably took place in 2012?
No, I guess not. It seems weird that these hoodlums would be running around with this old camera and not a cell phone. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to dwell on that.
But even in 2012, like, oh no, the iPhone came out in 2007. Yeah. Huh. I mean, I'm assuming these kids aren't rich, but I don't know. Yeah, they don't really ever define it. I
Yeah.
didn't do a lot of research on this movie, like the behind the scenes stuff, so I'm honestly not sure.
Yeah, and
Um,
you know what? I forget that this movie is also 10 years old, so yeah, I mean, maybe it is kind of borderline. Maybe some people would, especially people down on their luck, maybe would be carrying around an old camera.
yeah, I don't really know. But I guess if we go story by story, kind of like what we did with Creepshow a little bit here. So the first one is called Tape 56. So that's the one, that's the hotel one, right?
Yes, I believe so.
I mean, dude, I'm not gonna lie, that girl freaked me out. Like her eyes, like I'm assuming they didn't do anything to her when she was just like a quote unquote like normal girl at a bar, but she looked freaky then too.
Yeah, it had a couple of good moments, mostly towards the end when this girl transforms into a demon. I was just I kind of laughed as this movie went along, as we were just, every dude we meet in this movie is just the biggest douche I think I've
Oh,
ever seen. Like
oh my God.
when all these people, when all the writers got together and they turned in their scripts and they're all like, yeah, our script is about a group of douchey friends too.
I wonder if that was a requirement. It's like all the guys have to be douchebags and all the girls have to show their boobs at least once.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I guess it's kind of a horror tradition or cliche that you know, you're kind of rooting for the most of these people to die. So,
yeah, that's because you're 100% right. Every guy was such like a rapist, a freaking just every word that came out of their mouth. You're just like, oh God, how old are you? You must be like 20.
yeah.
Like you're so dumb. Yeah, that was true. That they were all very stupid.
I thought this one did have an interesting conceit on why the characters would be filming this. The idea
Mm,
that there was a little camera in this guy's glasses. You know, that was kind of clever. At least you weren't thinking the whole time, why doesn't he put the camera down? You know,
right.
why exactly he was wearing the camera in his glasses, I'm not totally sure. So he could like look down girls' shirts or something, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think it was just like I don't know if he was a virgin. They're like, we're gonna film your first time, or like just any girls we hook up with, you got to film them. Like that's kind of what it felt like. But yeah, what the hell were they doing? They were just in a, like they went to a hotel and they're like, let's just go to some random bar and find girls. And I mean, it worked, but at what cost?
Yeah, and I will say, if I'm going to be kind, the stuff with the demon girl was fun. You know, especially
Yeah.
when she transforms and is chasing the guy through the hotel. I kind of got like From Dusk Till Dawn vibes.
Yeah, I gotta say that when the guy fell down the stairs, I know his arm's broken, but
Mm.
like, get up. Like, what the fuck? Like, your leg wasn't broken, it was just your arm. I don't know. So, and then I guess the demon girl kills his friends, kills everybody, and then has a crush on him. So then when he finally doesn't reciprocate, you know, the feelings, then she flies and grabs him and kills him.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
This was directed by David Bruckner, so I do know some of his work. He made it was kind of like a zombie movie in the early 2000s called The Signal, which I actually saw in theaters and I remember liking. I remember thinking it was kind of cool.
Hmm.
So there's a few directors in this that I know their work. Adam Wingard, he directed You're Next, which I kind of liked. I thought that was
Oh,
pretty good.
yeah.
He apparently did the wraparound stuff for the framing segment.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I screwed up the title of the one that we're actually talking about is called Amateur Night. So the
Oh,
tape 56 or whatever. That's like the main story. That's like the one that introduces us to all the videos. This one we're talking about is the amateur though. So I screwed that up.
got it.
But I do want to say, yeah, David Bruckner. I'm looking here. It looks like he's going to be directing the new Hellraiser movie.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but good for him. You
Yeah.
know, going from there, all of a sudden here we are, 10 years later, he's directing Hellraiser. So hey, good for you. Well, anyways, you got anything to say about Amateur Night? You want to move on to the second honeymoon?
Yeah, let's move on.
All right. Yeah, these are quick. So, the second honeymoon, which is directed by Ty West. Now, I love Ty West. I don't know. Did you see his newest film, X?
I didn't. I want to see it.
Check it out. It's cool. It's not gonna blow your mind, but it's worth seeing, especially if you like horror and it's got that like 70s feel to it. So it's cool. But The House of the Devil from 2009. You ever seen that one?
Yes, I have, and that's a really cool movie. Definitely like a 70s, 80s throwback. And I've only seen that and one other of his movies, The Innkeepers, which I wasn't as big a fan of, but House of the Devil is definitely a cool movie. Check it out.
Yeah, and that's filmed in Torrington, Connecticut. So proud of Connecticut for
Oh,
Eric.
nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So this one was interesting. This one wasn't like supernatural at all. It was basically about a couple that was on a honeymoon, and they just seem like an awkward couple. Like they don't. It's just like uncomfortable to hear them talk or whatever. But I don't know. I kept thinking something was going to happen. Like they talked to that fortune teller. They're on some vacation in like a Wild West town or whatever. But I just kept thinking something was going to happen, and it never really did. I mean, till the end.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't sure what to make of this one, and then we get this twist ending, and it's like, okay, yeah, I wasn't really, I didn't dislike it, but I didn't have really strong feelings about it one way or the other. Again, I was like really taken aback by this guy who's pressuring his girlfriend to have sex on camera when she's like pleading with him that she doesn't want to. And I'm like, wow, I mean, every single segment is giving you guys like this, but I guess they're doing that because, you know, you don't want to feel bad for him. You kind of want to root for her at the end, I guess.
That makes sense. Yeah, because even this guy who's like traditionally not a douchebag, even he's a douchebag. You know,
yeah.
He's a quiet, awkward guy, but you're right. He's very forceful with his girlfriend. Like that's such an uncomfortable scene.
Right.
When he's got the camera and they're standing in the bathroom door and he's like pulling her clothes. She's just like, "Stop, no!" You're like, "Oh."
Yeah. I mean, the whole segment is kind of this slow burn, and I feel like that's what Ty West kind of does. At least the two movies I've seen of his, you know, they are these just kind of retro slow burn, and then all of a sudden it explodes into violence, and that's kind of what happens in the segment. Yeah. If we do rankings at the end, this will probably fall in the middle for me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't like that they don't ever explain why she married him. I mean, this is their honeymoon apparently, and like, if she was just gonna kill him, what the fuck? I don't know. You think they would have been together for years or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely unanswered questions, or just stuff got by me.
I mean, I will say when eventually the guy gets murdered in his sleep, he gets stabbed in the neck. That was pretty hard to watch. That was very realistic.
Yeah, that was a nice little brutal moment.
Yeah. So anyway, so we find out that the girl has a lesbian lover. They kill this guy in his sleep. They run away, and that's it. That's the whole sketch. So, moving right along to Tuesday the 17th. Wow, now knowing that segment's called, it makes a lot more sense.
Yes.
So, Tuesday the 17th. I'm thinking it's a ripoff of Friday the 13th now. But yeah, this is a group very similar to a Cabin in the Woods, Friday the 13th. Just a group of kids going to a wooded area, and then murder started coming. I thought I was going to like this one. I actually hated this one.
I am right there with you. Look, like on paper, I feel like this one should be my favorite. You know, I'm a big slasher movie guy. Obviously, this is like a love letter to Friday the 13th. But I would bet anything that this segment didn't even have a script. Like they just gave the actors kind of a vague once over about like who they are and what's happening, and they just told them to riff. You know, and that's actually something that really bothers me about a lot of found footage movies, that you just feel like the actors are told to just kind of improv their way through it. And, you know, I mean, I don't blame the actors. They probably weren't given a lot of time or a lot of information about their characters. And it just feels like just bad kind of improv exercises. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. I mean, there was like no cohesive plot at all. I mean, even when they'd start to drop things, like when the main girl was like, "You're all gonna die here," or whatever, it was like, why are you saying that? And then they all just move on, act like nothing happened, and they like casually, in a comedic way, bring it up later. And I'm just like, there's no pacing to this at all, this segment.
I like the idea that, you know, this final girl is returning to, you know, Crystal Lake to get even with the, you know, Jason, and she's willing to sacrifice this group that she's bringing there. You know, that's kind of interesting. There's something there, but you know, it's all in the execution, and this execution is just so bad. And it's like, why is the killer so pixelated and blurry? Is it because he's just a supernatural force and the camera can't see him?
dude, that was like so dumb. And like she kept saying it, like, why can't I show you? And then even if you get it on camera, like, okay, great. Like, that's it. So like you prove there's a murderer in the woods who killed your friends. Like, sweet. You know, and the other thing is, like, there's all these traps set up. So did she go back and set up the traps when the murderer guy wasn't there?
Right. Yeah,
Like,
I thought of that too. Yeah, I have no answers for you. Again, this one I had high hopes for, and honestly, it's probably at the bottom of my list.
dude, me too. Like, starting off, I was like, ooh, I like it. This is going to be, they're in the car. Like, again, the guys are super douchebags. Like,
Yep.
isn't he, the guy with the camera in the beginning, isn't that his girlfriend driving?
You know what? I didn't even really get a good sense on what the relationships were here.
Okay. Yeah, because he's like hitting on the blonde girl in the back. Then he's like talking about his girlfriend there. And it was so confusing. And then the murders start and it goes from 0 to 100 like immediately. Like you get the weird blonde girl like dancing. Then her head gets cut off or stabbed or whatever. Then the other guy dies. And then it's just like a trickle down effect immediately. But yeah, this one just sucked. It just sucked. And the guy gets away. The murderer gets away, too.
Yeah. I looked up the director on this one, and I wasn't familiar with any of his other work.
No, I Sell the Dead, VHS, and Chilling 5. Yeah, he is Irish, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it. Yeah, I don't know. That one sucked. So moving on. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Bard's Clothing. Here's the honest truth. The days of "Hi, my name is" are over. We live in a virtual world, and our images are being shared on social media and professional pages every day. So with over 1,000 fabrics to choose from, Bard's Clothing is here to tell your story through clothing. Make sure the image you want people to see is the one that you're sending, because by the time you get face-to-face, their mind might already be made up. Quality clothing, all made here in America. Head on over to www.bardsclothing.com and follow them on Instagram at bardsclothing. Okay, so this one, the sick thing that happened to Emily when she was younger. And this is directed by Joe Swanberg. I didn't hate this one. I'm pretty confused by it, but I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I probably have similar feelings. I'm disappointed that you're confused because I was really hoping you could explain the ending to me. But, yeah, when it starts off, it seems like we're going to get some kind of supernatural, paranormal activity kind of thing. And I'm thinking, okay, they haven't made 7 of these paranormal activity movies because this concept sucks. Like the supernatural thing and the found footage thing, I think that's a good combo,
Yeah, oh yeah.
So, when we're getting like little kid ghosts running by, I'm thinking, okay, I think we have something here. But then at the end, I need someone to walk me through this really slowly because I have no idea what happened.
I know. I want to rewatch it again, too. Just brief overview of this one. So basically it's like there's a girl who is Skyping with her boyfriend, and she thinks there's a ghost in the house, so she keeps trying to show her boyfriend. He just is never recording it. He's a doctor. And then by the end, it seems like the boyfriend's like in cahoots with the the demons or the whatever they are, and is like taking parts of his girlfriend's body when she's unconscious and giving it to the ghosts. Is that pretty much it?
That seems like what is presented. Whether or not that makes sense,
No.
not to me. It doesn't.
I mean, like the first, like, I don't even know, 2/3 of it, I was like, this is cool. Like, I genuinely felt fear when the little boy or whatever it was, like, ran in the room and the door slammed. Like, I was like, whoa, I was taken back, got like a shiver, and I was like, ooh, okay, that got me. And then from then on, I was like, I'm so confused. The girl, why is she like cutting her body apart? Like she has a tracker in her arm or something, right? Like,
yes, which he implanted there.
Right. So her boyfriend implants it there, but then she, like, not like a normal person, like, pokes at it. She like takes like a steak like sticker and like sticks it under her skin and is like acting like it's totally normal, right?
Yes. But if you want me to explain it to you, God help me, I can't do it.
No, and I don't think it helps that the boyfriend is so like calm too about it. Mm-hmm. Like he's just like, hey, don't do that. Like, what you're hurting yourself. Like, I get it, he doesn't care because he works for the demons, I guess, but
right. I was going to like kind of ding this one a little bit for the performances. just because they didn't really feel like a couple. And yeah, the the boyfriend was so kind of stoic, but I think it was a character choice because yeah, he's kind of in on it, so I give him a pass.
Yeah, I don't understand because like they set a line where it's like you've known me since the base or whatever when I was a kid. So like, are they military brats that like got married or something like that? So they has this guy like his whole life known this girl and now is working with demons to give them her kidney? Like it just
Was that a fetus that he pulled out of her?
I thought it was her kidney. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was like a fetus or something.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I'm reading here. The children are revealed to not be ghosts, but rather aliens.
Oh, okay.
Watching as James surgically removes an alien fetus from Emily's torso. Oh.
When you said military base, I started thinking, oh, maybe there's some kind of alien thing going on. And all right, it's coming together.
Dude, okay, so that makes more sense. So they don't really give you a lot. You have to like think about it and look into it. But okay, so he must be working with the aliens then and like slowly giving the fetus, okay. Yeah. But like he cut open her back and stuck her hand into it and the next day she's like, I fell. It's like, come on. Come on. So also he's there too. Like he's pretending he's like in her fucking apartment.
Right. You think there's some kind of long distance thing going on, but then he shows up. So yeah, he's very close wherever he is.
Yeah, okay. And then it ends with him talking to another girl and basically doing the same, just talking her to like take your top off, like every other guy in this movie. Paranormal Activity 4. Did you ever see that one?
I jumped ship at Paranormal Activity 2.
Ooh, 3 is not bad. I gotta say, 3 is pretty good.
Yeah, I liked the first one I thought was pretty great, and the second one I thought was pretty good. It's kind of like how we were talking last week about exorcism movies. I just sometimes I just have my fill.
Yeah, oh, that's fair. I mean, believe me, after 3, just do not like. But 4 is kind of similar to this one because there's a lot of Skype and they use like the Xbox Connect and stuff to like sense the ghosts. It's ridiculous. But that also came out in 2012. So kind of cool they use like the video chat ghost thing kind of in the same year. So whatever. Props to them for not like just blatantly ripping off Paranormal Activity, I guess. Anywho, moving on to the final segment of the movie. This is October 31st, 1998, and was directed by Radio Silence. I don't know what that means, but...
So Radio Silence, it's the duo that made the new Scream movie. That's what they call their company.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Okay, yeah, so they're like the Daniels. They did that everything all at once or whatever, and they call themselves the Daniels, and they're a duo as well. Mm-hmm. I think this was my favorite one.
Okay, so when the last segment ended, I looked at the counter on my TV, and I'm like, "Holy shit! There's 25 minutes left in this movie." I was sure that last segment had to be it, and then I saw that there was at least one more segment. But I am right there with you once again. This is my number one. This is my favorite segment.
Dude, this one, same thing. I was kind of over it after the last one. I was just like, all right, I'm just kind of done with this. But this next one, dude, I was so interested because like it felt like the other ones was like a bunch of bros like getting drunk and going to a party. But then when they get to the house, it's like everything. You get like demons, you get like an exorcism, you get a haunted house vibe, ghosts. Like, dude, I don't know. I very much appreciated the way this one was shot. I loved it.
Yeah, it's fun. I liked it a lot too. It's a great concept. These guys are going to a Halloween party, and I'm not sure, are they just at the wrong house, or did they get invited to this house? I'm not sure exactly how that goes down, but they walk in on this like sacrifice, and then they encounter all this poltergeist activity. It's really fun. I appreciated all the kind of like haunted mansion special effects, and I mean. I can't say I'm in love with this segment, but after the 4 previous segments, I was definitely having a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the acting. It felt very like relatable with you and your friends. Like you're laughing at things because you like don't think there's any real danger, even though like if you were like us, the audience watching it, you're like, get out of there. But when you're with your friends, you're like, oh, that's funny. Like he's scared or whatever. But yeah, then they see the exorcism. But I guess during the exorcism, because they're chanting too, they're like chanting along with it, which is like kind of funny to see. But then the people start getting like sucked into the ceiling.
Yeah.
So it's like, did they disrupt the exorcist or whatever it was, a sacrifice, and now like the demon was pissed off at the people, so like started turning on them? Like, I don't know. What did you think?
Yeah, I wasn't really sure. I thought it was a sacrifice. You're right. It is an exorcism we're seeing, which is kind of a nice little twist at the end that I didn't see coming. But yeah, I guess that is how we're meant to take it, that these guys, they're trying to help this girl, but they ended up damning themselves and everyone around them.
Dude, I mean, yeah, so the boys, they escape the house at first, and then they turn around to go save the girl, and they do. They get her, and they start going downstairs, and then right when they get to the front door, the door, like, disappears. And I was like, this is actually terrifying now. Seeing them running through this haunted house, and all of the exits are disappearing as they're getting to them, I was like, okay, I'm into this. I'm super into this now.
And I'm sure everyone involved with this movie knew that this segment was special, and that's why we're getting it last.
Yeah, seriously, ended on a bang. And then it basically ends pretty creepily. I mean, they get the girl to safety in the car, they're driving away, and all of a sudden the girl just disappears and then reappears and screams outside of their window. And then they appear on a train track, and they can't escape. You're like, fucking hell. Oh, yeah. God.
Nice little segment. But can I ask you, I am so confused because we never go back to that like original, the framing segment. We never go back. We don't go back to those guys at the end, which seems so strange for an anthology movie. I feel like you always go back to that original prologue story, to wrap things up, but we don't.
I hated that so much.
That's so strange. I mean, we do spend time with them between each story, and I'm not even totally sure what happens. They're looking for a tape, whoever told them that, they would know the tape when they see it, but they don't. It's just a bunch of VHS tapes, and they're just planning to take all of them, and then I guess the dead body comes back to life, and that's like all there is to it, isn't it?
Yeah, they should have done something different with like explaining something. I mean, just like each of them individually disappears after they watch a video, and then the friend's like, John, like, where are you? And he's like, oh, I guess I'll just do the same thing. And then puts the tape in and watches it, and then he disappears. And then, yeah, like, I don't know, just what are they doing there? And why are they even watching the tapes? They got no description of what the tape, like, you'll know what it looks like. It's like, dude, then just take all of them and get out of there.
Yeah.
But, I was curious, like when they're in the basement and they see the naked man like walk or whatever?
Yeah, I remember they see something move in the basement.
All I could think of was in the segment that we both hated, the Friday the 13th one, the guy's throat gets slit, and he kind of looked the same. He was, like, naked, right? And he was walking weird by himself, and I was like, maybe they're, like, caught in this weird where they're, like figments of the videos they're watching are, like, coming into that real world. That's all I could kind of think.
Well, yeah, that's what you think something like that would happen at the end. Like, I'm thinking of another anthology movie like Tales from the Hood. Spoilers for Tales from the Hood, but at the end you find out this guy who works in a mortuary, he's been telling these stories to these guys, and at the end you find out he's the devil and they're actually in hell. There's some kind of twist.
Yep.
But we don't get that. It was really strange. I was surprised, but tell you the truth, I don't think I wanted this movie to be any longer.
It was long, dude. 2 hours for an anthology. Yeah, it was a lot. It didn't move like the Twilight Zone one did, I don't think. Well, before we wrap up, you want to do our little rankings here?
Sure. You want to go first?
All right. Yeah, so I'm going to go with the Halloween one, so 10/31/98. Then I'm going to go with, I think I'm going to go with Amateur Night for number 2. I like that one. And then I'm going to go with, this is tough. All right, Emily. The sick thing that happened to Emily, then the second honeymoon, then Tuesday the 17th.
Okay. My ranking is probably very similar to yours. I'm not quite sure what the titles are, but you'll know what I mean. Yeah. So, Halloween 1998. And then I'm going to go with the couple on the computer, the Paranormal Activity kind of thing, because the one little moment where the little ghost kid runs by kind of got me. So I give it points for that. And then I'll go with the Demon Girl. And then I guess, the Ty West segment.
The second honeymoon? Or
Yep. And then coming up the rear, the Friday the 13th knockoff.
Yeah, dude. So we felt similar. We really did. I mean, that's a good point. That the only part that like truly scared me is the part you just mentioned too about the little boy. So it's true. Maybe I should give them one more credit. But overall, I wasn't blown away. I'm glad I watched it because like it's different. You know, I haven't seen a found footage movie in quite a while, so I'm glad. But they've done quite a few sequels to this.
Yeah, I had no idea. This is like a whole franchise.
Yeah. There's one, two. So there's four, and then there's a spin-off called Siren, as well as a mini-series.
Wow.
Yeah. So VHS, I guess, stands for Video Horror Shorts.
Okay. I mean, look, you know, if if this franchise is giving young filmmakers a shot and experience, I mean, that's pretty cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would be willing to give this movie more of a break if it was like some kind of like student thing that I saw at a festival. You know, I'd probably say, oh, you know what? Pretty good, but you know, there's some serious talent attached to this movie, and you know, Ty West and I think Adam Wingard had already done some high profile projects, so going in, I kind of had higher hopes, so I can't quite give this one a recommend.
Yeah. If you like found footage movies, you'll probably like it, but yeah, it's not amazing.
Yeah,
It's fine. It's fine.
yeah,
All right. Well, Joe, what do you say we spin the wheel?
let's do it.
All right. Ooh, okay, here we go. Friday the 13th, Part 2.
Oh, all right. Now you're talking my language.
Yeah, so there we go. That's one that you are a huge fan of, and I love that one too. So this will be fun. Awesome. Well, Joe, thank you again as always for filling in and being an amazing guest and putting up with the shitty movies as well.
You know what? I'm not the first person to say this, but like horror movies, they're like pizza. Even when they're bad, they're still pretty good.
I like that. All right, cool. Well, guys, thank you everybody for listening into our episode today on VHS. If you haven't had a chance yet, we released our episode on Hustle on Fresh Film Fridays, and then last week we released our episode on, was it The War of the Worlds? So you can check that out. And we will see everybody next week with Friday the 13th, Part 2.